Welcome to Hearts and Reads, the coziest book nook you'll ever find on the internet. And today we're going to do the April TBR. So I'll break this down in a way which makes it comprehensive for everybody. So what we're going to do is we're going to do two books from this TBR bowl right here. These are essentially the books that I have been avoiding intentionally because, well, okay, so these are authors that usually people read when they begin to read romance. All of these are romance, by the way. All of these are by Indian authors. All of these are romances, and people usually read them in the beginning of their romance journey. And I kind of sort of got them and never got to reading them. And then I read Lauren Asher, Anna Huang, and then my reading journey just went boom from there. So I never really got to these books. And although they are not a lot, they are just 12. When I stack them up, they seem like a world of books. And so we're doing this so that I essentially read them through and through. So every month I will be picking out two books from that stack. Now either of two things can happen. One is I like them actually and I binge read them, and two, I decide that based on the two books that these are just not meant for me and I unhaul all of them. And I really don't want to unhaul anything as of now because that's kind of an extreme step. So here we go. Let's see. That one. And okay, this one says I too had a love story. Okay, now let me tell you guys that I do not know anything about these books except the fact that they are romances in fact. So let me just grab that book right now. I too had a love story by Ravinder Singh. Now again, I do not know anything other than this is romance. So it starts off saying that, do love stories ever die? How will you react if a beautiful person comes into your life and then goes away from you forever? Not all stories are meant to have the perfect ending. So I'm guessing that this is a post-breakup story or something like that. So we'll see. I hope that this is not too sad. So this says simple, honest and touching. Bye. So that is our first book all picked out and ready to go. So now one more book left. Let me just shake it up. This is You Were My Crush. Okay, I'm laughing because I really wanted to get one of the Zoe Datta's books. You Were My Crush Until You Said You Love Me. So I think the title makes it very obvious. So, oh, this is, I think, co-authored with someone else as well. Would you change yourself for the love of your life? So, yeah, very good. And I'm not going to read the synopsis over here right now. But, yeah, this is the second book. You Were My Crush Until You Said You Love Me. That is two books all picked out. Now for the TBR that I have actually set up, like books that I really want to get to. And I'm going to leave out the most intimidating book for me personally till the ending of it. So let's go. Short books first. Self-Portrait in Green. So this is very short, aside from the fact. So from what I got to know by reading the synopsis is the very thing which is very interesting is that this is written in a form of diary entries. So and the narrator is not known. The name is unbeknownst to us. So now diary entries के form में लिखा गया है ये. Basically what happens is the narrator basically finds green women who are actually green and obsesses over them, literally crazy level obsessing, and then goes ahead to find out about like their lives and whatnot. So उसी की journey है ये जो हम follow करने वाले हैं, I guess. And I do not know anything more. I could not get anything more from the back of the book. So that is that. It is really short, so I really do think that I can get to it, but I will not speak too soon. Now another short one, kind of sort of short, I guess. So what happened with this one is I did pick it up and it's a collection of short stories, by the way. So I did pick it up and I read two of the short stories out of the many that it does have. And basically this is stories that have mystery, gore that is very detailed. And I remember that I did like the story that I read, but then I do not know what happened. Did I fall into a slump or something? I just didn't read further. So I do want to get done with this book. Not get done as in खत्म करके फेंकना है, नो यार, एंजॉय करना है बैठकर. तो ये एक और बुक है जो हम पढ़ने वाले हैं, शायद से होपफुली पढ़ेंगे, बिकॉज मैंने बताया नहीं बट मैं 2 साल के रीडिंग क्लब में चले गई थी. एंड इन दैट टाइम क्या मैंने बुक्स खरीदना बंद कर दिया? जी नहीं, आई बिकेम अ बुक ड्रैगन एंड आई एब्सोल्युटली स्टार्टेड होल्डिंग बुक्स, एज यू कैन सी. सो वी आर चेंजिंग दैट. दिस ईयर everything changes. Beautiful World, Where Are You, Sally Rooney. This is going to be my first Sally Rooney book, and I know that it's very ideal to start with normal people and conversation with friends, but I picked this book up in the bookstore and I read the synopsis of it and I really enjoyed it. So it's basically following 2 best friends, Alice and Simone. Okay, and these best friends are basically falling in love with obviously men, and with 2 men, and they live in different cities. And then basically what happens is we're following them as life happens, as adulthood happens, and all the troubles that one faces, adulting troubles. So it does sound very interesting, and I know my synopsis of it is very wishy-washy, but this is something which I'm really interested to read. So I do hope that I get into it. Now I'm showing this because यहाँ आप देखेंगे गौर से तो ये काफ़ी पुराना और घसा हुआ दिखेगा आपको. As I said, ये किताबें बहुत टाइम से पढ़ी हुई थी एंड मैंने पढ़ा नहीं था उन्हें, तो बस मैं ये सोच रही हूँ कि चलिए अप्रैल से ही स्टार्ट करते हैं, पढ़ते हैं. Let's fall in love with reading all over again. I have broken my slump. I did break it. कैसे किया था, क्या किया था, I will talk about it in the wrap up. That will be more apt, I think, not in the TBR video. The last book that we do have is Better Than the Movies, a classic. Everybody says go read it, go read it, go read it. Book Talk, BookTube, everywhere. Basically, I think what happens is initially the main character hates the male interest, and then after 10 years they meet again, they rekindle, and then essentially she falls in love. I'm watering down the synopsis so very badly, God, okay. Obviously it's going to be much more interesting and lovely than that. It has seen a lot of praise and everything, so it has to be. And what I'm planning to do is essentially read this and any and all movies that I have not watched that is mentioned, because every chapter has a header, and in a quote it has a quote from a movie, and if I've not watched the movie I might as well watch the movie whilst I'm reading this. So that is the plan for April, guys. So how many books do we have? 1 2 3 4 5 6 books. This is our April stack. Currently that is how it looks. And okay, so I am not sure about these 2 books if I will read them, because I'm a very moody person when it comes to reading, and I do tend to kind of sort of go away from my TBR that I said. But the 2 books which we picked out from the TBR jar, that is, I have to get to them, because it's just been too long they've been just sitting there. So it's kind of sort of going to be read or unhaul, and I don't want to unhaul them, and I do want to give them an honest chance. So that is that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, make sure to subscribe the entire video and saying this is my TBR stack for April. Yay! I forgot to tell you about the most intimidating book. इतना ज़्यादा intimidating था कि देखो मैं भूल ही गई इसके बारे में. So that is Romeo and Juliet. It is not intimidating because of the story or the plotline. I know the story. I've not read the play. That is why I'm picking this up. I've seen the play. I have watched movies. I have seen things adapted from Romeo and Juliet, the story, but I've not ever read the actual thing, the actual play. So that is why I'm picking this up. My goal for 2025 was to read a classic, so I thought, why not start from not the most intimidating thing, but from thing that I do know. Is it going to be still intimidating? Yes, sure, because Shakespeare. I did read Shakespeare and I have read other classics also, but it was always for course purpose, academic purpose, never as leisure. And so this is my first classic that I will be picking up as a leisure. I do have very many classics stacked up, and all of them I did intend to read, but I always get cold feet whenever it comes to classics because they are massive and the language is not modern English, and every other line I have to Google and I end up feeling like a stupid person. But I am really going to change that right now with picking up Romeo and Juliet and essentially completing my goal for the year. So now, if we look at the stack, yes please. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 beautiful books that I have. Also, I forgot to mention that with Romeo and Juliet, I am going to start it in April, but I do not really I'm not going to put the pressure for me to finish it inside April because again it is Shakespeare in English and I will be using the internet a lot to Google meanings of sentences and stuff, symbolism and whatnot, so that can carry forward itself into the next month, and there's no hard feelings about that. That was it.